Hello and welcome to Talking Formula One. We are back. It has been it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hello, I'm all good. How are you? Been a very, very
Good,
long
very
time.
good. It has. It's been. Well, I didn't even want to think when our last one was, but we've certainly had most of the summer break off, if not all of the summer break. Many, many things have happened. I mean, in the time we've last done a show, I think Cadillac have retired 750 times from a Grand Prix. McLaren have won back-to-back races. Aston Martin have scored points, and Williams turn up. So, yeah, we're doing all right. How's life been treating you?
Yeah, is that? Yeah, life's been lifing. Been away. Been
Yeah,
on a cruise, as they say. So yeah,
nice.
it's good to have the F1 back in Zandvoort. I'm glad we're
Mm.
losing Zandvoort, if I'm honest.
Are you?
Not a fan of the race. I'll probably
Interesting.
be a little bit interested with the rain, but unfortunately that didn't last. Yeah,
How annoying was that?
Yeah,
That was just, that was
red flag was
typical.
red flag was the issue. That got rid of the trepidation in the final sector. Really, if we had a few laps on
Mm.
there, you might have got people, being a bit cautious, etc. But because it was a red flag and we were off the track for half an hour, it bone dry, didn't it? By the time we got back there, so
Yeah, it was so frustrating because we saw that, you could see the wet patches on the road, you could see it had been raining, and then the tyre blankets came off and they're all on dries. So we've missed the rain, fine. And then, Max making a very uncharacteristic error. Usually one of the drivers who is very, very solid in the rain or in the wet weather is the only one to, well, he's not the only one because Bortoletto spun, but the only one to bin it into the wall under
yeah.
wet conditions.
He saw a little dry line, didn't he? Just on the, I think it was a dry line, just next to the white line, and he just
Mm.
overcooked it ever so slightly, and it sent him into
Yeah.
a little spinach. And but that Red Bull wasn't quick enough, was it, to do anything really? That would have been a sixth or seventh place where he just would have gone round in no man's land, really.
It was tricky, wasn't it? Because it was, they had no pace all weekend. But yeah, the sprint race itself, insanely dull. But the Grand Prix itself,
Why have they put sprint races at two tracks this season where you can't overtake? I mean, Zandvoort. The issue with Zandvoort is the straight. The only place to overtake is the start finish straight, and it's too short. So why would you have a sprint race with somewhere where notoriously you cannot? I know it's because it's the last race, so they wanted to give it a good, good bit.
yeah.
But sentiment shouldn't come into it.
No, I am going to miss Sandball because it has had some absolute bangers there. I mean, you got the inside of turn one, or into turn one, sorry, it's your main place, but there were a few brave and audacious overtakes sort of coming out of the banking when you got sort of that far sector into that right downhill corner. A couple of good overtakes there, but it wasn't, I don't know, the sprint was very poor. The race was good. Some
You
interesting
need
strategies there.
to improve that track, to make that track really, really good. They need about another 200, 300 meters on the start finish straight. And then obviously you'll then have a longer run from Tarzan down to the first chicane into the banking corner, which should also
Yeah.
promote overtaking. And that would make it a very, very good track in my opinion. But it's just too short. So it gets a bit dull. You get stuck behind people. And also with these engines, it is current relevant that teammates can't overtake teammates because they've got exactly the same engines and exactly the same deployments.
Yeah.
And
unless, of course, you're a victim of team orders like George Russell was, even though he's fighting his teammate for the World Championship. And Mercedes said, "Can you move out of the way, please?" And George went, "All right."
is that to me, is that not the automatic sign of George, you're no longer in the title fight? Because
It's very much.
Kimi couldn't win that race. He was not winning that race. Lando was easily, he was only a tenth or two slower per lap than Kimi,
Yeah.
bar and safety car, which they could then invert it. He was not catching things. So that was all about just getting extra points for Kimi. And that,
Well,
to me,
it stinks of we're putting all our eggs in Kimi's basket, doesn't it?
which, in all honesty, they should do, because McLaren, I think, is the fastest package, and I generally believe Lando could easily become world champion.
So it's so, in a way, it's awesome, but it's also so frustrating because we had that little spell where Ferrari won a couple of races, Hamilton won in Spain, and then Leclerc won. Did he win the following race or the one after that?
Mm-hmm.
So Ferrari suddenly had a race-winning car, and now McLaren have hit back with 2 wins on the bounce.
I think the Ferrari was a match for McLaren at Zandvoort, but the issue they have is qualifying. They can't get the qualifying mode that the Mercedes engine can.
No, and then they spent the race fighting each other,
Yeah,
which was fantastic. But yeah, it really does scream of a sort of, right, we're putting our eggs with Kimi here, because like you said, he wasn't going to win the race. When George said, "Oh, is he going to fight Norris?" No, because he's 12 seconds behind ish.
mm-hmm.
And there was a handful of laps to go. He is not that quick because Lando was maintaining the gap. he's exactly what he needed to do. No way was Kimi going to challenge Norris for the win there. So that is, yeah, if I was George, whether he did it because he just didn't want to rock the boat and said, all right, fine, I know I've just signed an extension, but look how good of a team player I am as well.
I think, and if Kimi isn't taking, because Kimi's taken the 10th place penalty, isn't he, in Monza for a new engine? So if he wasn't taking that, I think they would have allowed him to race. However, I think they were thinking we're going to lose points in Monza, and this is an easy couple of points. But that then says to me that they think he's the world championship candidate, not Russell.
Oh yeah, I think it's looked like it from the minute that Kimi won 5 races on the bounce. And George just hasn't, apart from the sprint where he did thoroughly outperform Kimi. Unfortunately, the big points are won on a Sunday. He just doesn't really seem to have an answer, certainly on Grand Prix, to take the fight. And then, like you say, you've now got McLaren with that incredibly strong package breathing down their necks. Ferrari have the capabilities and have the potential to turn up as well. So it is tricky. I don't think Ferrari can challenge for the title, but they're certainly there to upset matters every now and then.
They haven't got a clear number one. You think Mercedes obviously is Kimi this season? They're gonna get Kimi probably as the one that they're gonna use for the title fight. Lando, you'd think McLaren now have to put all their eggs in Lando's basket if they want to make a challenge, but Ferrari won't because they've got 2 drivers who are separated by like 30 points, and Charles Leclerc has just signed a new 6-year deal.
Yeah, Ferrari, they've put themselves in a really tricky situation because they've got Charles Leclerc, who is their golden boy, he's their protege, but you've also got Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton isn't going to be a second driver, is he? So we don't have a number one driver for a team that historically always had a number one driver. It's not working for them. You think back to the sort of the Schumacher Barrichello, the Alonso Massa, the Raikkonen Massa or Massa. It's Vettel Raikkonen. Who thought Raikkonen to be a second driver? It's a team that has always had a second driver. So now the fact that they've got 2 equal number one drivers, it's not working for them. But they're so close. That's the thing, is they are so close. There's some weekends where Lewis is really on it, and other weekends Charles absolutely smashes it. It's so tricky. But, yeah. But there we go. So is this sort of do you think Lando is driving the best he's driven in his career now?
Yeah, I think he's the quickest. It's the quickest package on the grid, I think, at the minute. I generally do.
Yeah.
McLaren have properly got on top of the whole car. It's that thing we've seen with McLaren the last few seasons, though. They just don't like being behind cars. As soon as they get into clean air, the car's rapid. He saw it Sunday. He was easily the quickest guy on used tyres at certain points in clean air. But when he was tucked up behind someone, they just sort of roll around, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel sorry for Piastri because he's been quite anonymous this entire season, really. Apart from, was it Japan he could have won, but for the safety car?
Was it Japan? One of those.
I think it was Suzuka.
There was a couple of races ago. He was quite quick. But yeah, he's not been totally with it this season, hasn't he? If truth be told, he was quick in Zandvoort, wasn't he? The first 10, 15 laps, he was rapid. I thought, hang on, he's going to go and meet the grid and challenge Kimi and Lando, etc. But then he made his early pit stop, and almost like they put 50p's on his car.
Yeah. He's having such a frustrating season, and it is a shame because the man who came so close to the title last year, and he has had moments of last year Piastri this year, where you can see what he can do, but he's just not having a good season, is he?
Yeah. And I think McLaren do have to go all in on Lando if they are going to pull back the deficit.
I think so because there's
he's still, what was it? Lando is what? He's still 80 points behind Kimi.
I think. Yep. Yeah. Let me have a look here. So the current standings. I've just seen that Alpine have confirmed Colapinto for next year. Yeah,
I saw a little reel or something that it was Colapinto and Gasly.
Yeah. So Kimi's on 242, and Lando is now on 159. So there's a bit of distance, but it's not insurmountable.
It's 11 races, so
yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'd love to see if he can overcome it. It would make for a hell of a finale, a bit like sort of the fight back from Max Verstappen last year when he came so close.
And the thing is, unlike last year, really, and the year before that, there's generally 6 drivers, probably 7 actually, every weekend who could win a Grand Prix. If you think, the 3 big teams and Max could all win a Grand Prix, and you wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So there's plenty of scope for Lando to win a Grand Prix and Kimi to finish 5th or 6th.
Yeah, it's the good thing now is that Mercedes aren't light years ahead like we saw at the start of the season or like we saw back in the early years of the hybrid era. Like you say, you come into this thinking, earlier in the season it was like, well, Mercedes will just get a pole again and then they'll run away to victory. It just which Mercedes is it this time? Whereas now, yeah, it could be any one of the McLarens, the Ferraris, the Mercedes, or most likely, or out of the two Red Bulls, it's going to be Max, isn't it? It is making for a fascinating second half of the season. I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
No, exactly. So, and now we've got the old Aduo official update, which I still can't quite get my head around. But Red Bull being as the class leader in the engine,
obviously,
and Mercedes have got a 2% increase, and then all the rest of them have got 4%. I don't quite get where they got their Red Bull one from, but clearly, I think the Mercedes trick is all in their qualifying mode. I think that's where they get a lot of their extra grunt.
Yeah, get your cars ahead, and then no one can overtake you. What if they do? You can just pass them back.
Well, yeah, it's all out of traction zones, isn't it? Hamilton say every week, really, how quick they are out sort of traction zones and down straights. So I'd be interested to see what Ferrari do with their Aduo, actually, because will they increase the turbo? Because that's what's causing, some issues, but also it's making them quick on, circuits, street circuits, or, circuits that don't have quite long straights. So I don't know what they're going to do, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. What else have we got? So, yeah, shockingly, Aston Martin, their car seems to be more of a Formula One car again now.
Oh, no, Alonso.
Did he do one points? He did, yeah, did a one-stop.
Did a one-stop. Fair play. I can't believe is the whole fucking Albon and Sainz. How the hell do they so in obscurity all race and they still end up managing to run into each other?
I'll tell you what, if you could summarise Williams' season in a race, it's that, isn't it? It just imploded at the end.
It's like, what are they actually fighting for here, really?
Both drivers the past week signed extensions into next year and beyond. You think, okay, cool. It's a shame they're being rewarded with such a wheelie bin of a car. And then towards the end of the race, they just had those, yellow flags came out. Saw Albon going slowly. Oh, great. There's a Williams the problem. And then just a replay I saw with my Williams t-shirt on, already pretty irritated with how the race had gone. And then I just see the two drivers absolutely, Sainz just absolutely smashing into the side of Albon there because he just completely cocks it up. That's the Williams season, really, in one race. It's embarrassing. It really is.
Yeah.
And it was the usual stuff from James Vowles of, it's another tough race and blah, 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 and stick with us, we'll get it better.
I wasn't surprised that they had both drivers sign contract extensions. From the driver's point of view, especially Albon, there's not really anywhere else to go, as I think we've mentioned it before. I think the Audi door shut for Sainz. I think Audi are going to probably keep what they've got for the next year. Alpine's just a sideways move, isn't it, really? So you're looking at, well, where else would you go? And there isn't really anywhere else. They're not moving. Neither driver are moving forward on the grid. So you just got to put your eggs in a Williams basket and hope that James Vowles stops talking shit and actually produces a car.
Yeah, I mean F1 doesn't quite have this sort of like football mentality of firing the manager when it's not going well, but there's enough talk from James Vowles. After every week or every race, it's a lot to learn. We've taken a lot away. We'll move forward from here, but they don't, and it's just. You may be learning a lot, but it doesn't appear that learning is being translated into anything on the track.
I think it obviously gets as you're a Williams fan. I think what gets everybody is he's continuously said we've been to 2 years of F1 to concentrate on 2026, and you turn up with arguably the second slowest car.
And it's got worse. At the start of the season, both drivers could pick up a couple of points here and there. If a couple of drivers dropped out, they were always around that sort of place for sort of 9th and 10th. And now there's absolutely no chance of points. It's very rare both cars are in Q2. And like you said, it's all to do with, or the irritating thing as a Williams fan is the promise of, okay, so we don't care about 2024, we don't care about 2025 because we want to get 2026 right and turn up with the most competitive package we can. And this is what they've turned up with. If they hadn't bothered saying that, and if they'd have said, 25, 26 are going to be struggles while we get our heads around it, you could maybe forgive it. But the fact that he said, break everything, we don't care about these 2 years, and one of those years delivered 2 podiums.
Yeah. Well, I don't get how, like, if you took, like, Aston Martin as such, obviously the Honda engine is out of their control. It's a bag of spanners in terms, which is fine. And they've probably admit aerodynamically, they've got some stuff wrong. So if Williams turned up this year and they got it aerodynamically, they went down the wrong route and the car's wrong. Okay, you can go, okay, well that's just human error at one point and it sent you down the wrong street. But not only is it aerodynamically useless, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
Like they still haven't even got it to weight yet.
No, how do you get it this wrong? Okay, fine. You can develop a car that's within the weight limit, but you've got a couple of parts on it which aren't working. Like we said, the Aston. The parts are wrong, but at least it's the right weight. And you turn up with a car that is not only draggy as hell, it's fat. It's like, how have we got this so wrong? And they're going, okay, so we've got a big upgrade coming in Baku. There's that little dangle of optimism there, that little carrot. And then they all come out and say, yeah, it's not going to really help us too much, though.
Because I genuinely think all the update is just weight saving. I don't think actually it's an update that aerodynamically will improve the car. Well, I think all they're trying to do is get the weight down all season, which is mental.
It's their main problem. The Williams cars for the past few years have been draggy.
You can't improve cars. You can't improve aerodynamics if you're always thinking about how much weight you're putting into it.
No.
But obviously, coming into every update, we'll think, well, we can't. You could try and make it as light as possible. But if you're trying to design, any sort of foil or Ventura, whatever, but you're thinking, well, it can only be this thick because we can't put another 0.6 of a gram on the car because it's already 19 stone overweight. Then it's just hindering all the designers of actually thinking outside the box because you're thinking, well, we can't do it because it's too much weight.
Yeah, it's the hope that kills you as a Williams fan, isn't it? Really, there's plenty of Williams. Well, there's plenty of Williams fans around the globe, but I'm pretty sure they're all on the same boat thinking, we've had years of struggles. We finally got a couple of podiums, and next year we could actually be fighting for with the big guys. Maybe not for championships, but picking up podiums on a regular basis. And as soon as the news broke earlier in the year of Williams are missing the first test, here we go. This is going to be like another 2019. And unfortunately, the car isn't that bad. It's not the slowest car, and it's not illegal, but it's overweight, it's draggy.
Should be illegal.
It should be. It's that slow. There's two unhappy drivers in the car. It's not a good recipe for success with that team at the minute. And now the embarrassing thing is they are effectively in no man's land, really, ahead of the Cadillacs, because no car is that bad. But they're really struggling to keep up with the rest. So Aston now seem to have pulled clear a little bit. Fernando scoring a couple of fantastic points with a great drive.
Stroll's still not doing anything.
Stroll is still Stroll, and Haas seems to have really gone off the boil as well. Haas are struggling. So that's the saving grace, really, that the Williams cars are now ending up fighting around the Haas cars.
I've read a lot of rumours that possibly Haas may be up for sale.
Really?
Nothing like concrete or anything like that, but a lot. I've seen a lot of things where people are intimating that Gene Haas would be open to an offer, which, in all honesty, they probably do need new investment. They are, Gene Haas only has a certain amount of money. The team only has a certain amount of resource, and they need probably, that another outside investor or a new team owner really to, take them forward and because they're the only team on the grid who don't spend up to the cost cap still. So if you're not going to spend up the cost cap, and every other team are literally pushing the cost cap as far as they can go, you're only going to go so far.
No, and they've been on the grid since 2016 and yet to get a podium. They have these seasons where they start off strong, like they did this year, but then other teams outdevelop and they just drop to the back, which they've done again this year.
I think it was about 2 races they were strong, and then the rest of them, they just sort of, went backwards.
Sort of floating around. So they're making Williams look slightly less terrible, as are Cadillac, because they just either catch fire or break down every week.
It's weird, isn't it? As the season's gone on, the Cadillac's actually turning into the car we expected to start the season.
Yeah. They're getting worse. How do you do that?
Whereas at the start of the season, it was all right. I mean, they completed the Melbourne Grand Prix, and it wasn't terrible. But as the season got on, they've got worse. Yeah, everyone's catching fire, everyone's breaking down.
The thing I find brilliant is when Bottas retired in Melbourne, it was on the camera. They were going, "Oh, there's Bottas out with the first race for Cadillac," all that sort of thing, feeling sorry for him. Now they don't even mention whether Cadillac's out of the race. I saw on the side there that it said "Bot out." Bottas is out. No one, not even the pit lane reporter, had mentioned the Cadillac coming into box. They're just like, "Oh yeah, all right, no one cares." If there's any Cadillac fans out there, then
probably thought it was a long pit stop.
No, yeah, still there. Bottas is out of the car. What are they doing? Yeah, it's painful for Cadillac. I mean, no one expected them to be pulling up trees in their first season, but to get progressively less reliable, But you can say about the Williams cars, they're slow as hell, but they're reliable, unless it's got T-boned by another Williams. Mechanically sound, but it's just got the aerodynamics of a wheelie bin and the weight of a Panzer tank. But, it's all good fun. I love the pain of a Williams fan life. It's awful. I remember I was feeling quite smug a couple of years back when McLaren were really, really struggling when we were doing the podcast with Neil, But wherever he may be, he's out there somewhere. He might join us still. Who knows? We've got 5 minutes left. I was feeling quite smug because Williams are then on the ascendancy and McLaren were really struggling. And now they've won a championship again. And, Williams are out in Q1. So, what goes around? It's terrible. Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, no, it was, going back to Aston Martin, fantastic drive from Fernando, great one-stop strategy. And it was great to see him score a couple of points because he scored in Monaco, didn't he? Because there was 2,000 penalties.
Yeah. We're still being contested, isn't it? That Gasly podium may be taken away again.
Just, as long as they can disqualify everyone so Carlos Sainz gets a point, that would be nice. But even if they're all disqualified somehow, you still wouldn't. But yeah, to see him get P9 with his actual pace and the actual proper ability was fantastic. And it's Fernando is still one of the greatest on the grid, and he needs a quick car next year. But there were rumours that the Honda engine still wasn't quite, even though they've had these upgrades, it still wasn't quite up to much. So hopefully they'll address those issues. Before this Grand Prix, they had the team principals. They said, ask me anything apart from, and had all these questions about the engines underneath. Yeah, the Honda engine still isn't up to much, is it? Fingers crossed they can improve it.
I think they will in time. But I think what comes first, they improve it to a competitive level or Honda leave.
Again.
Yeah.
And then come back in a couple of years.
They keep saying they're leaving, so they give up, and then they go, actually, no, we'll stay back in. But then they're 6 months behind everybody because they're stuck.
Why does this keep happening to us? Maybe that's what's happening to Williams. Right, we're leaving. Turn everything off. We're going to stay. I've lost that development. But so the news has come out today. Colin Pinto has extended his contract as well. Is that a surprise to you, or do you think that one was coming?
No, it's not a surprise. If you look at who's around, there's no one really around that get all you'd want, really, in terms of who's in F1 at the minute. Everybody else is sort of tied in. So you're looking at F2. Dunn's not had the most spectacular season in F2. I think he's an Alpine driver. Well, he's in an Alpine livery F2 car, only. So you'd kind of think it's a risk putting him in the car next year when Colapinto's done an all right job, really, hasn't he, this year? He's not spectacular. Yeah. He's not putting the performance he was when those 6 races he put with Williams. He's been off. But at the end of the day, we all know with Briatore, a contract means one thing, and actually being honoured is another. So
yeah,
I'm very sure if he turns up next year and doesn't do the business, or if he doesn't do the business this year to a standard that Briatore wants, then he'll change his mind very quickly.
Oh, yeah. But surely for the time being, until at least midday tomorrow, that proves that the Fernando Alonso to Alpine rumours are rubbish. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that has changed my mind in terms of the driver market next year now, which is kind of interesting, is I think the Red Bull and the Racing Bulls will probably stay as they are. I think Lawson has turned it around enough, especially with his Grand Prix just gone, that Red Bull will probably not bring in Zollis next year. I think he'll have a year out. Or maybe another year if he's allowed. But yeah, I don't see maybe Racing Bulls changing now. I think Isaac Hadjar's done a good enough job, hasn't he? Lawson's doing a decent job. Limbad's doing a decent job. So yeah, whereas I thought 2-3 before the break, I thought that Lawson was definitely out and Zollis was in. I think it's pretty hard to get rid of him now, actually, which is surprising.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on that, have we? Max Verstappen signing an extension with Red Bull, which surprised a few people. Yeah, Red Bull will stay the same for next year because Hadjar, unfortunate, his injury for this race. Maybe it's going to be the next one as well. Who knows? Unfortunate to miss out through a wrist injury, but he's done a solid backup job in a difficult Red Bull. And Lawson, it was a win-win for him this weekend, wasn't it, really? Because it's like, right, if I do terribly, then what do you expect? You've chucked me in the car with a couple of days' notice into a sprint weekend as well. And it's a shame we couldn't see him on Grand Prix pace compared to Max. But he did wonders for his cause. Although, even though Tsunoda did a good job, I think I can't see him finding a way back in, unfortunately.
I did find it interesting that they put Lawson in the Red Bull, not Tsunoda. So Tsunoda is the reserve driver for Red Bull. So you'd naturally think, well, Hadjar's out, you put Tsunoda back in the car, especially when Tsunoda was in the car back in,
Yeah.
So
unless their logic was because Tsunoda hasn't driven this breed of car, and that apart from Sim, and Lawson has been driving a 26 car.
I think that's probably what they were thinking. He hasn't driven this car in a competitive, so they'd rather sacrifice Racing Bull's race than Red Bull's race.
Yeah, And Red Bull sort of sacrificed their own race with Max, unfortunately. But yeah, we didn't get to see the two of them actually racing and comparing pace. But yeah, Lawson's done himself no damage at all there. And he's turned the season around, yeah, because there were times where we thought that he's getting done by Lindblad here.
Yeah.
Inconsistent, but he's turned it around. He's doing well. So I can't see him going anywhere. I think it will be the same. And slowly the seats for next year are filling up.
So I mean, I can't. There's not really any gaps in there, really. But there's also, I don't think there's that many drivers knocking on the door. There's only Zollis in F2, and then Oglukochu or something in F3s. He looks like he could be a pretty decent driver. But
yeah. But you usually get a few, don't you?
Yeah, I don't think there's much change next year, if I'm honest. And Max was the cork in the bottle, wasn't he? Now he's signed up. I think you'll very much get the same as next year as you were we have this year.
So. But there we go. That brings us to the end of our F1 show this week. So we'll be back next week, of course, looking ahead to the Italian Grand Prix, because there isn't one this weekend, which is terribly sad. Because Monza is one of my favourite Grand Prix of all time. And also Ferrari rumoured to be running a tribute to 1996 on their car for Monza. So we shall see. But there we go. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We shall be back next week. Make sure to give us a follow on all the socials as well to keep up to date. I need to do a better job of keeping that up to date as well. But thanks very much. We shall see you next week. Take care of yourselves. I've been Steve. He's been Chris. Neil's on planet Earth somewhere. We'll see you next week. Cheers.